thank you for joining me. My name is Carlos. Today we're going to be getting into a delt and arm session, chatting a little bit about the state of the diet, how to get leaner and more muscular and build out your body. And so, but before we do that, nice sip of morning coffee. I like to drink it black, brew my own. I just pour it, coffee into a mug, boil it up, and then I pour it out and let it sit, and that's my coffee. It's delicious. I love it. Anyways, today, the delt session. We are going to have a shadow here. Let's move this a little bit forward. Yes, we're improvising here a little bit. This is high-class editing. Yes, sir. Anyways, you get the idea. We're among friends. So, with the shoulders, I am not doing heavy pressing movements for the shoulders. And why is this big news? Because you can actually build up your shoulders without them, as long as you are incorporating heavy presses with other movements. So, what's the reasoning behind this? I'm doing very heavy Smith incline bench presses at the moment. I'm trying to build up my PRs. I'm trying to reach 3 plates. So I can handle 3 plates again with the bench press and on the incline. To be able to build up that strength on chest day, I found that I just can't do it if I'm doing heavy military presses on another day during the week. I can do twice a week, yes. I can work out, but I can't make the gains. I can't go in and instead of doing 245 for 5 reps, go in and do 7 reps and increase 10 pounds and build the thing if I'm doing heavy shoulder pressing. And so I'm really focusing on doing these the rear delts, front delts, side delts, everything that has to do with like these raises and flies. It's working, man. My shoulders are actually getting built out. Now I'm not going to take off my shirt and flex. I'll do that soon enough. It's not that I'm insecure. It's like family time here. So that's what we're doing with the shoulders. I have the video narrated at the end. It's a very long 14-minute workout video. Well, it's kind of long. Everything's condensed in there. Very high volume. Try to do as heavy weight as possible on the isolation moves. For the biceps, I see a lot of people, and this happens to me also, training at a certain tempo. How fast should you train? How fast should you train? What is the bar speed that you should use to build maximum muscle? Really depends on what you want to build. If you want explosive power, if you want to be able to handle the weight, speed is everything. You need velocity. And I won't tire of saying this, physics. There is a formula. A mass moved through space at a certain velocity and distance equals its output. So if you move a 100-kilo stone, you drag it across 10 meters or 30 feet at 5 miles an hour, it expends a certain amount of energy. If you pull that sucker at 60 miles an hour, you need a lot more power to do so. It's like driving a tractor trailer uphill. You know, if you go in first, gear, you're going slow, that's a certain output. If you try to go fast, you're going to be using up all the energy, right? But of course, this is bodybuilding. You want to be able to expend and accumulate as much energy as possible. So in theory, bar speed is very important. So when you're doing, say, a curl, it's not the same doing it like this as doing it like this. Now, people get into this time under tension mantra. It is a religion for some people. They say it's the studies say, the Meta PubMed, science says that time under tension is what builds muscle. That's not actually the case. The case is mechanical tension stimulates the signaling to build muscle. Mechanical tension is accrued through heavier weight, and the faster you move that weight, the more stress, mechanical tension there will be on there. And the longer you prolong a set, that becomes more time under tension. But to take time under tension as the protocol for moving slow, you can do it. You can build just about any way that you can imagine as long as you put in enough effort. It's not what I believe in. That's not what I do. If you are a person who likes to train slow, go for it. that's, I'm just doing this on my own over here and showing you what works for me. Now, I find that when I train slow, when I move the bar slowly, it tends to be out of avoidance of greater effort. Yes, I'm avoiding effort because I know that if I start moving that bar harder and faster, it's going to wear me. It's going to tire me out. It's harder to do. It's a harder set to perform than just going slow. Here, I'm doing some biceps curls, and I see the newbies, like everybody new at the gym. They're just starting out and they're taught. This is how you do these things. And they're all doing these things over here. Yesterday, when I'm filming myself doing with the big plate with the 20 kilo on the Z-bar, 125 pounds, and I'm moving that sucker, and I'm seeing somebody over there, doing this thing over here, and I said, if I was doing that, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm doing that, I'm copping out. I'm avoiding the hard effort of the set. And the faster, the harder, of course, accumulated fatigue comes in really fast. And then you have to overcome your last few reps are very difficult to perform because you gas quickly. It's like it's sprinting uphill. This should be obvious. Like some things are very simple and logical and straightforward, but what has really infected the bodybuilding and physique world is PubMed, like scientific studies. They take 15 subjects and they train them this way and that way, and I would never look at those studies to find the absolute truth. I go to bodybuilders. I go to the results. The proof is in the pudding. The people who are actually accomplishing and have those physiques, how do they train? Well, by and large, they train with heavy weights, not light weights. They're not trying to make lightweight heavy. They're trying to make heavy weights light. Lightweight, baby. Remember Ronnie Coleman? They try to make a heavyweight light. It's all about mechanical tension. So, just have to get in these ideas, these notions, because this is how I approach these things. So, the workout for today, high volume also. Doing just arms and shoulders without pressing movements. 125-pound barbell curl is heavy for the biceps, but it's not really a heavyweight exercise. Not if you're used to doing 300, 400, 500 pounds on compounds. 125 is not that taxing on the CNS. So what does that mean? More volume. More volume. That's why arms have their own day. I did approximately 40 sets total between the flies, the triceps, the skull crushers, the curls, all those things. So high volume, as high intensity as you can get, go as heavy as you are willing to without sacrificing proper form. Bullshit, man. Like, I understand if you're going to do a front raise like this, that's probably not the way to do it. But if you have a 50-pound dumbbell here, it's not going to be lifted like this. Now, some say if you don't lift it like this, it doesn't work. Well, that's just not true. That's a lie. That's a lie. The heavier the weight, the heavier the overload, it's going to accrue mass on those muscles. It'll stimulate more growth. So what do? You get in a little bit of body English, and you try to hold it. And the important thing is to start from a dead stop. So you're not doing this thing like a pendulum. Right? You're not doing that. You're getting it up, and then you hold it for a split second, not more than necessary, and then you do it again. So like this thing here, like the push press or whatever it is, when you're doing a push press, a little bit of English involved, a little bit of body English, but that's more than overcompensated by the heavy weight. More than overcompensated. Go and observe heavyweight bodybuilders or anybody who's building a physique. Sure, I do those types of reps too. That's why I included a drop set where after I did those 45-pound dumbbells, I grab a 20 and it's like robotic. It's doing this thing here. But I use that as a finisher on the drop set after I get my heavy weight done. Now, the added benefit is that I can actually do it. I can actually lift a 45-pounder. Because I hear people, that heavy weight, it's not going to build the muscle. You should drop the weight and do it more proper. And then here, you give it a try, and they can't even swing it up. And the most important thing for me is having real strength, true strength. not cosmetics. Cosmetics is a byproduct of the strength. A very strong, healthy body is a beautiful body. Everybody has their own opinions. This is why I'm doing this. And everybody else can do things their own way. There are a lot of people that train the way I do. I copy other people that I want to look like. And I say, well, okay, that's a way to train. I really enjoyed watching the Branch Warren videos. Even Jay Cutler. My God, Jay Cutler. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Swinging, heaving, doing all kinds of crazy shit with the crazy weights on many occasions. But they don't cite Arnold as training with improper form, because he has also many videos where he's doing like super strict, and other videos where he's actually almost like throwing the thing around. You know, it's like there's a time and a place for everything. So if you see somebody training a certain way, don't assume that they don't know how to train any other way, unless they prove, you know, through time that they actually don't know. That's the only way they train. They train sloppy, or they train, you know, in a certain way to the exclusion of every other way. What I'm trying to get across is there's many ways to skin a cat. Now, to get into the diet, dropping very slowly. Let me show you here on the Excel sheet what I am doing. So here's where I'm tracking at the present time the state of my diet. On the left-hand column, I have the date, followed by the morning fasted weight, and then I write down the routine or whatever I do for the day, be it rest or whatever lifting activity or cardio took place. So in the month of December, we averaged out 202.06 pounds. And of course, there were some high days, 204, 205, 205. And at the beginning of the month, I was down 198. So it was kind of like all over the place. So I take an average, and the 3.484 is the average weight gain for that month. Then we move into January, and I decided to go on the cut. And if we started out first of the year, 205 pounds, and then started to drop a little bit, you know, just dropping weight a little bit. And on the 10th, I decided to actually be serious about it and to go really strict on the diet. And so I'm averaging out every 15 days. And the average for the first 15 days of January totaled out to about a half a pound. Dropped down to 201.4. Very slight drop there. And then on the second half of the month, dropped down to 198. Made a significant 3-pound drop in the 15 days, which is about a pound and a half a week. Now, here's the thing. You don't want to go too fast while dropping weight if you want to preserve all your muscle. And ideally, the slower you drop, the better chance you have for actually building muscle. So there is a recomp that is possible if your deficit is very slight. Once your deficit goes above 300, 400, 500 calories a day, it'll probably be very difficult to actually build muscle mass and muscle tissue. But with very slight deficits, this is in fact a very definite possibility. Now we move into the month of February, and the first 15 days dropped 3.3 pounds, pound and a half, a little over a pound and a half a week. So really keeping the drops very measured, very controlled. And of course, there's fluctuations. Start at 198, 197, 196, 194, 193, back up to 195. When you're dropping weight and all of a sudden you jump up one day, you may freak out and say, you know, what's happening? Nothing changed in the diet. Absolutely nothing. I may have drank a little bit more water that day or whatever the case may have been. Just normal fluctuations in cycles during the month. And so you don't go by any particular daily weight. You average it out. And here the average is 195, down from 198. That's the average. That is a true reading. 195 is not 192, which is the last reading of that period. It's the average. This is what I want to get across. You have to average these things out. Now, excuse me for kind of shaking here the the cell phone. Now we go into our second period of February, and the weight loss dropped a little bit. So we went down from 195 to 193, but the average weight loss was not 3 pounds. It was a little less than 2. And of course, that is better, even better. I'm in no hurry. I'm not being pressured by any timeline. I just want to do this the correct way. And so as long as it is dropping at least half a pound every week, that's enough. If you have the discipline. See, you need to understand that this is a long game. So starting off March, our present month, where are we right now? Started out at 193. Then the first day went down to 191, back to 192. And we hung around these weights, these averages, very consistently for the first 15 days. And we're down to 191.19 on average, which is a little bit less than 2 pounds. So I still have the reading for tomorrow. So as you can see, the idea here, obviously you track everything. This is the way to do it. I particularly have my workouts. I used to write down all my macros and all my diet. The reason I don't do that is because I eat the same quantities of food every single day. I vary the ingredients, but it's still 230 grams of protein, and I eyeball the carbs. And the carbs go according to that weight. If I need to drop some weight, I'll pull back on the carbs. If I need some more energy for a heavy leg or back day, I'll give it more carbs. And that's how it goes. That's how I keep my register of what I'm doing with the diet, and it keeps me on track. And the way I can do that is because I'm extremely disciplined with my food. I don't eat snacks. I don't eat junk food. I don't go off the diet ever. And so, unless I am not dieting for a specific purpose, but in this case, I'll stay on point for 4 or 6 months for the rest of the year. I don't know. It's not a problem for me because I'm not super restricted. My base metabolism is almost like 3,400 calories. And so I get to eat a lot of food. And just by restricting a little bit, I drop weight. Just by restricting a little bit. Now I understand it's harder for women. My wife, she's here with me, my wife, to cut, she needs to go down below 1,000 calories. She weighs 125 pounds. And she wants to lean down to 118. And so for her, the requirements, she doesn't have that much to work with. A bigger man, a bigger person has more of a capacity to eat, And so if you're able to eat, and just by restricting a little bit, you can have more energy. So that's the reason I'm also making gains on this cut. Down from 204 pounds that you just saw there on the Excel sheet, down to a morning fasted today of 190 in 8 weeks. Very slow drop, very reasonable. I still have approximately 7 or 8 more pounds to drop. I don't want to go below that. I'll hold steady there, but I'm actually building strength. Building strength on the cut. Now, if I was doing 1,000 calorie deficit and cardio 5 times a week, first of all, if I was doing that much cardio, I wouldn't be able to train the way I'm training right now. It would affect my performance with the weights. I wouldn't be able to hit PRs. I would be dragging my ass around. I would be very tired all day. I would be irritable. My cortisol would be spiking. There's a lot of issues involved with going with extremities. To go with extremes with diet is not necessary. It's necessary if you need to cut quickly, or if you're so undisciplined that you cheat every once in a while, or eat a cookie here, a pizza there. You're going to have to be in a greater deficit by and large to be able to accommodate those lacks of self-control. But if you are so on point that you can cut with a 200 calorie deficit, that means you're going to have energy almost all the time. I mean, you're eating 5 meals a day with plenty of carbs. I don't ever go like 0 carbs. Not yet. I haven't tried. I don't think it's necessary. I was watching a video yesterday about carb cycling, going, very, medium days and like no carbs on your non-workout days and a very high carb day. And, you know, that's fine, I guess, when I really started thinking about it. So I don't need that. Why would I want to go low carb? Well, it's for fat loss. Well, I'm losing fat, so why do I want to do it like that? I'd rather have more energy. Ideally, in a perfect world, you'd be able to stuff your face, get really lean, have all the energy in the world, and get a perfect body in a perfect world. But no, you have to make sacrifices and restrictions to be able to get lean. And so, you don't have to restrict yourself so much. That is the way to go. Anyways, that'd be all for today. I'll leave you with the video. Those are some of the ideas and things that I wanted to share out there. Wherever you are on your bodybuilding journey, make sure to learn. Just learn. Learn more about yourself. Learn everything you can about different styles, techniques, what people are doing. But be individualistic. Guys and girls, be individualistic. Bodybuilding and physique, by essence, is a personal art. And so you should know yourself more than anybody else in the world. There is no cookie cutter diet or training method. You can download these things and have something that you can guide yourself on. But in the end, you should know that this curl doesn't work for you, that this does. That this press doesn't work for you, that this does. And so by now, you should find out what really, really works for you with your diet, with your exercise routine, with your rest. Don't get too fatigued. This is the other thing. Learning how to rest properly. Where does this come from? From patience. Newbie people who are trying to rush things will overtrain. They'll try to do more than they actually can recuperate from. Why? Because they are impatient. Once you have been in the long game, once you have been at this for years, you know that you don't need to do that. There's no need. I don't need to go to the gym today. I can rest. And I can rest for 2 days straight. I'm just going to drop more weight. My cortisol will not spike. I'll be more energetic on the following day. And as long as you are disciplined, if this is a lifestyle for you, that you are constantly training, you should know how to rest properly and never be fatigued. Sure, you'll get DOMs. Sure, you'll get muscle fatigue here and there, but you should never be so fatigued that you're tired going to the gym. You're not going to make gains. You're not going to do more than last time if you're tired and fatigued. Anyway, that's it for today. God bless you all. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the like button. Share the video. Leave a comment. Don't make it a nasty comment. Just leave something that we can start a dialogue with. God bless you all. We'll see you in the next episode. So today, arm day, an unusually high volume day. Today I just really wanted to lay into the arms, and so I started right off with the biceps. Today is shoulder, biceps, and triceps, and I usually start out with shoulder exercises, the pressing movements. I'm not doing pressing movements for shoulders at the moment because I am intensifying my bench press, my incline bench press, and a lot of pressing movements for the chest. So here, moving on up to, I think this is 75 pounds. Here, just looking at the angle, trying to get a good pump right from the start. Strict keeping my elbows not just close to the body, but not letting them swing forward. The other thing that I'm a firm believer in, and at least I know it is for the case for me, if I do my reps faster, my muscles get congested faster. If I do these reps like super slow from the start, it's like a cop-out. It's an easy way. It's a comfort zone that I gravitate to when I feel I'm getting lazier. I find myself doing slow reps. So that I know for a fact, for me, I know for a fact that doing fast reps is harder. And so just, moving this weight as fast as I can, under control. You can say I'm not really swinging it. It's from a dead stop. People have very limited powers of observation. If you actually look, you'll see it's at a dead stop at the bottom. Here we're up to the maximum weight, 125 pounds, which is pretty heavy. This was a challenge for me before when I was doing those slow techniques and everything. It just wasn't really working. Now I just grab it, manhandle it, handle the bar aggressively, and my arms were getting super pumped. I'm feeling stoked here. I'm feeling really strong. 10 reps, and I move straight into the semi-skull crusher. It's not a skull crusher because I do not bring it down to my skull. I let it stretch behind my head. My personal biomechanics favors greatly a better stretch in the back. And I know for a fact this is like the old school skull crusher. First of all, limits the weight that you can use. Second, it puts great stress on the elbow tendon, and there's a better way of doing it. The triceps does have involvement with lat movements, and so when you stretch your triceps behind your head in the manner that I was doing before, here you can see I'm starting to get some size there a little bit. My arms were kind of a weak point. Anyways, stretching, and no, so I'm doing these supersets, right? Started off with the heavy barbells. Now we're going to the concentration curls with 50 pounders. This is the weight that I use. I don't use 35s. I don't use anything else other than 50s. Why? Because I'm training with the 50s. I want to get good at the 50s. I want to get as good as I possibly humanly can with the 50s, which means doing 12 to 15 reps with perfect form. And so I'm practicing with the 50s. This is what I do with the 50s. I just practice with it. The first few times I did these 50s, I think I got 5 or 6 reps. Now it's moving up higher. It's easier. The weight is moving faster. Why? The biceps has adapted to this weight. It's becoming more familiar. Now here we go to the one-arm dumbbell extensions, and with the 35 pounds feels ridiculously light after starting off with all the heavy work with the biceps and triceps. 35-pound dumbbell is a very reasonable weight. It's a weight that many people would consider a working weight. And here it just feels really easy. It feels like, no, this isn't working for me. It's just way too light. So I did both sides here on the video, just, left and right. And I'm thinking to myself, I have to go heavier. I want to see how heavy I can get these one arms. So by this time, my arms are getting very pumped. The other thing is with these arm sessions, arm and delt, I try to move as fast as I can between sets. I don't take a long time. Now here's the 50 pounders. Let's see how I handle those. Stretch all the way down. It's 2 reps, and it's feeling challenging and very difficult to finish the 3rd rep, and that was that. So here I'm doing a superset, drop set, grab the 35s and continue with the set with the 35s. Now, of course, this has the benefit of exhausting different muscle fibers, and of course, the heavier the weight, the fast twitch fibers are engaged. Once those are exhausted, you move to a lighter weight and different fibers are engaged. And it gives a more complete exhaustion throughout all fiber ranges and throughout all the weight ranges. Next time, I really struggled with that. And that's more of a CNS type of issue, like the skill of actually performing the movement. More than just raw strength, although strength was lacking there at that one set. So, CNS involvement is very important when you start lifting the heavier weights. The skill to do so, the practice, the angle, the balance, the coordination, all these take time and practicing. Here we move to our shoulders. Now we're doing the bent over flies. And today I just really wanted to nail my rear delts. And so what do? I start off light. Because I know I'm going to be building up into heavier weight. And I'll do like 2 sets of 15 to 20 with these 20 pounders or even 15 pounders. And these just prime my, the back of my shoulder, the posterior delt, the entire shoulder girdle in the back gets primed to the activity that will come in a few minutes. I'm incorporating these movements. It is very effective for hitting the tricep rear delt tie-in. And of course I have a problem with that. I need more I need to build that area up more. I was going to say definition. Definition comes from diet. And I'm not going to tire of saying that because everybody has misconceptions, and these misconceptions really mislead people in the quest of their activities. If they knew as an absolute, the definition comes from diet, they would focus more on diet than on useless exercises to try to get definition. Definition from the exercise comes in conjunction with the deficit diet that lowers the body fat, peels away the cover that is the layer of fat that's covering the muscle, and then you get higher visibility, cosmetic effect. Here we're building up to 35s and 40s for the rear delts, just keeping the sets moving one after another. And, by this time my rear delts are really getting fatigued. Now, I incorporate these one at a time. I call these the ski lift, or the I don't know what to call it. It's also a rear delt move. And anyways, I'm really focusing on that hinge where the tie-in of the tricep and the posterior delt connect. And so different angles, different movements, different weights, just a lot of volume, a lot of concentrated work. And right here, I'm just really feeling the burn. I'm saying, man, just keep on, stay in the zone. Once you hit that pain zone, the burn zone, try to stay there for a while. That's where the progress, that's where it's happening. So stay there as long as possible. It's only a little moment in the big scheme of things, and the moment passes, and you'll be satisfied if you stayed there longer. The only thing I regret is not doing more reps, said Ronnie Coleman. So here I think we're up to the 50s, and just really grooving. Some days I'll go up to 65 and 75 pound dumbbells, and they work. When I do those really heavy dumbbell, here we go for a drop set. When I do the really heavy dumbbells, even though they're kind of sloppy with some body English and not completely in the most perfect form or in the most isolating form possible, my delts look different the next day. I can see the cable in the back, the muscle just absolutely pronouncing, much more than if I just did light weights with, the pump and burn thing. The heavy weight actually works. So here we're doing the front delts with 45ers. Now, here I get a lot of blowback, a lot of pushback, because it's a useless exercise, needless. You do a lot of pressing movements. You don't need this movement. That is a lie. Every single top bodybuilder does this movement for some reason, and they all press very heavy weights. Now, personally, the benefit that I've gotten from this is greater separation from the bicep and anterior delt tie-in. Again, they don't understand the purpose of this. It's not only to build up the front delt, which I need to build up, but it creates a deeper crevasse with the bicep. And so this is a very useful exercise. So if you're swinging the weight, no, look, observe, dead stop, dead stop, dead stop, again, dead stop. People who want to criticize usually criticize from a position of projecting. Either they're insecure, they're trying, I don't know what the purpose is when a person is making great progress with a weight that they feel intimidated by. I heard it's ego lifting. I've come to understand that when a person says that another person is ego lifting when in fact they're not, is anybody who is giving more effort or training harder than them, that's ego. In other words, the person is projecting their own insecurities. You got to train heavy and hard, bro. You have to hit it hard. Here we're dropping from 45s to 20s. Get that drop set. And so the whole ego thing is so trite and hackneyed, and it's so overused. When I hear people use it, I look at them and I say, are they thinking or reflecting? Oh no, they're being parrots. They're repeating a phrase that they heard and that perhaps took them captive and stifled their heavy lifting in their quest for absolute bonker efforts. And say, you don't lower the weight, you're ego lifting, and with that they mummified them. They put like 3 cords around their bodies and that's it. They're bound to somebody who said, you're ego lifting. Bullshit. God bless the ego. You need your ego. The ego is a good thing. Anyways, if it permits you to supersede, increase, and progress, your ego is absolutely a fundamental part of your personality. It should be built up, not to be arrogant, not to put other people down, such as those who call other people, for their egos. They're trying to put them down. Anyways, back to the front delt. My front delts are burning here. Then we go back to the triceps. So it's kind of like a potpourri. We started off with biceps, triceps, supersets, and then we morphed into a session with the rear delts and the front delts. And here we're just going for absolute contraction on the triceps extension with the cable. Here I'm really just focusing on squeezing my triceps. There's many ways of working. You know, you can just push this handle here, and of course your triceps will work. But in this case, what I'm trying to do is just robotically, mechanically make the triceps do the extending. And of course, you know, people would say, well, that's what you should do for every exercise. But that's not necessarily the case. If you're trying to build up explosive power, say on a bench press, this is not what you do. When you're in strongman type lifts, you don't want a pump. A pump will limit your ability to perform heavy weight. You'll be pumped, you can't. You can't work. So you want to avoid the pump. There's so many different angles and nuances to building the body. You have to find what works at a particular moment for a particular purpose. And of course, this requires intelligence and not being a mindless parrot of just doing and repeating what you hear and what people say to you. You have to. Bodybuilding intrinsically is the genius of the person. The person finds their own systems and intensifies, increases, and creates the best way for them to move forward. That is the beauty of bodybuilding. It is a very individual endeavor. Yeah, there's cookie cutters, you know, spreadsheet type routines and diets, but in the end, it's about the person finding out what's best for them and really discovering and implementing their knowledge to the best of their ability, to the best of their capacities. And of course, that means they're going to be breaking out of molds. They're not going to be doing things by convention, and that will open up, you know, the doors to criticism. But you know, you'll never be really criticized by somebody from above. If a person is like really a good, you know, champion and they're much better, they'll have good advice. They'll have positive things to build you up. If a person is trying to throw like mud, and you know, they're obviously, you know, from a lower station. Absolutely. This is the truth in just about any activity in life. Trolls, criticizers, people like that, they're underlings. They're people from the bottom. You don't really have to pay attention to them. Anyways, this was an incredible workout. The high volume, some heavy weights were lifted in the context of isolation. God bless you all. We'll see you in the next video.